Inhale deeply all together.
Suprabhatam, Swagatam. First of all, I would like to welcome the new participants, Arogyadama participants who joined us yesterday. If the new participants, if you are wondering what we do, what is going to happen next in this session, I will declare now itself. Sorry to disappoint you, we will not raise your Kundalini in the next half an hour, nor will we teach you any mysterious techniques, yogic techniques. Instead, we are going to bore you, not bore as in boring, we are going to bore you till we find water. We are going to bore you and dig a bore well and find some water. Because in the name of modernization, we have concretized the roads and we have concretized our mind also. Hard surface and water is arrested somewhere deep. So this session 7:15 to 8 every day morning is called Maitri Milan. We dig ourselves in an effort to find water. Okay, what happens after I find water? One Muslim saint, when he was on his deathbed, he was asked by a disciple, who was your guru? Who taught you philosophy, spirituality or whatever it is? He said there were several gurus, innumerable. I can tell you only few, and one of them was a dog. Once I was sitting near a lake. A dog came running to the lake with the intention of drinking water. It was very thirsty. By its actions it was visible. It came running. It was about to drink the water and it saw its own image in the water. It started barking, howling, and it ran back. It barked for a while. It stood at a distance and barked for 5-10 minutes. Again it could not control its thirst. Came running back again to the lake with the intention of drinking water. Again saw its image. Again barked, got scared, ran back. It did this several times. Now there are two problems. It has thirst, but it is also scared of its own image. So the saint said, I was looking, patiently seeing to see what will win, whether fear will win or the thirst will win. And he said finally the dog could not bear it anymore. The thirst was too much. It ignored the fear, came over the fear, and it went and drank. It ignored its own image and it drank the water. So when whatever we call it, spirituality, philosophy, yoga, knowledge, wisdom, even when the water is available, we are sometimes scared to drink. Why we are scared? I mean, what will happen if you drink? If you drink that water, what will happen is you will become like me. You will wear white and white, sit on a dais and preach. And that is a problem for the people who are sitting on that side. They'll start getting nervous. Their husbands are here, their sons are here. If they go into philosophy, they will become sannyasis. Well, all these are wrong notions. If yoga is not meant for not meant alone for taking sannyasa and running away into a forest. Yoga and spirituality is supposed to make us efficient in whatever we do. So don't worry, they will become more efficient and they will earn more money if they come into yoga and spirituality. Few may run away, you cannot avoid that. But majority of them will not run away. They will stay and make themselves more efficient. Now there are several paths that are preached. Today we chanted Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha. There is Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga. So many are there. This is first day here for many of you, so I don't want to confuse you with this too much of terminology. I will just speak about what we chanted today. We chanted Raja Yoga Shloka Sangraha. Many thousands of years ago, there was one rishi, a researcher, Maharshi called Patanjali. He told that all of you are in misery, all of us are in misery, and I will give you the solution. If you don't accept that you are in misery, then fine, you need not come to yoga and spirituality. If you accept that you are in misery, then I will tell you what to do. And he wrote several sutras, 196 sutras. The same way Krishna preached Bhagavad Gita. Only after Arjuna went into misery, he taught Bhagavad Gita. Till then, he did not. So distress, problems, negativity are all the beginning for spiritual journey. Disease, household problems, any kind of problems are pretexts, will become pretexts one day for the beginning of spiritual journey, the digging for finding pure water. Now in the beginning of Yoga Sutras itself, he says, Patanjali says, Yoga is Chittavritti Nirodha. Yoga is controlling of the mind. And then he proposes Ashtanga Yoga, 8-limbed yoga. All this everybody know. It's quite popular now. There are some institutions also named after this, Ashtanga Yoga, Kundalini Yoga. So because of that, at least the names are popular, if not the techniques. So in Ashtanga Yoga, as its name says, it has 8 limbs. Now the first wrong notion with the Ashtanga Yoga is that there are 8 steps. You have to go one after the other, which is wrong. The 8 steps, I will just name them for the sake of clarity. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. 8 limbs. So there is a wrong notion that, the first wrong notion that first I have to practice Yama, then I have to practice Niyama, then Asana, then Pranayama, then Pratyahara, then Dharana, then Dhyana, then Samadhi. Finally I will attain Samadhi. This notion is wrong. There are 8 limbs, not 8 steps. So do we practice the entire yoga together? So do we get Samadhi now itself? You can explain that with one simple example. You go to school, all of you have gone to school. What do you study in 6th standard? You say mathematics, social science, science. What do you study in 7th standard? Mathematics, social science, science. What do you study in 8th, 9th standard, 10th standard? Same. Why are you studying the same thing again and again? Same subject again and again. So you are learning 5 subjects, 6 subjects, same subjects every year. Why are you studying the same subjects every year? Subject is same. You are studying all of them together. You pass to the next class, but you study the same subjects again, but the topics are different. You get more and more deeper into the topic. Subjects are same. Similarly, Ashtanga Yoga is 8-limbed. There are 8 subjects. You cannot say, I will only stretch and bend my body, I will become a master of asana and I will get Samadhi. It is impossible. If you study only mathematics, mathematics, mathematics and ignore the languages, you will not go to the next class. You will remain in 6th standard. 7th standard, wherever you are. But there is a big addiction to asana nowadays. If somebody says, I am practicing yoga, that means he is stretching his body and bending his body, literally. And he calls that alone as yoga. In the end, I don't know if you noticed, after the Shloka Sangraha, there was a passage. It said, Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, something, some Brahma Vidyayam, and it said Yoga Shastre. After every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it has been written as Yoga Shastre, meaning every chapter is a Yoga Shastra. Do you see Krishna teaching any asana to Arjuna? Then why are we calling asana alone as yoga? Asana is part of yoga, fine. Krishna also told in one shloka, out of 700 shlokas, he mentions asana in one shloka. Out of 700 shlokas, one shloka. So you calculate the percentage. But why have we degraded it to such an extent that if somebody says I am practicing yoga, it means asana? It's something like, as I was telling in the last week, I am a holder of BSc Mathematics. What have you studied? I studied addition and subtraction. So addition and subtraction is mathematics, correct? But addition and subtraction alone is not mathematics. Asana alone cannot become yoga. You will stay wherever you are. If you study only science, only social science, or only mathematics, you will remain where you are, you will not proceed. No doubt it is your favorite subject, you get 100 out of 100. If you get 100 out of 100 in asanas and get 0 in pratyahara or dharana or even yama niyama, you won't proceed, you will be there wherever you are. This is common sense and I hope everybody understand. Next question is, okay, what are the other limbs? Asana and pranayama are very quite popular. I won't talk about asana now because it has already been talked about thousands of times. Another popular thing is pranayama. And the next in the list, the next limb is called pratyahara, which is actually usually I talk about, which is my favorite and which is usually ignored by the practitioner. Before going into pratyahara, I want to explain in simple terms what prana could mean. Everybody says prana, controlling prana, pranayama. But what do you actually mean by prana? It is again common sense, you don't need knowledge of physics and chemistry to know this. I'll give one simple example. There are two people and both are offered the same food item. Same food item is being served to two people. It may be sweet or spicy, something. One person eats it with and relishes it too much. He enjoys it too much. He even expresses his contentment. He says, oh, this is so nice. And he asks for one more. The other person eats the same dish, doesn't create much of a scene. He just eats it. He doesn't hate it. He doesn't like it. He finishes the dish. Now if you talk in terms of science, the energy expenditure was same. Both used their hands to pick up the dish. Both used their teeth to chew it. Both swallowed it. Both will digest it. Energy expenditure is same, no difference at all. But there was some difference. One person enjoyed it a lot, another person did not enjoy it that much. He enjoyed it but not to that extent. If you have 10,000 rupees with you, you go to a mall and buy whatever you want with that money. Same as how you buy items, objects from the market with your money, you buy experiences with prana. The two people, the difference was one person spent more money, meaning spent more prana and bought more experience from that dish. Another person spent less prana and bought less experience from that dish. Both did the same activity, but the experience was more with one, experience was less with the other. One person lived more for that moment of time, for when he was eating, means he bought more experience from that situation. He enjoyed it more, he spent more prana. To buy an experience, we spend prana. To buy an item, we spend money. To buy an experience, both good and bad, we spend our prana. So one person lived more. When you spend more, you live more. That's what the usual slogan is in the modern times. You should live your life to the full extent. They mean you have to buy more and more experience. So one person lives more, another person lives less. But they are meaning not in terms of time or activities. Activity, everything is same. But one person is buying more experience, another person is buying less experience. This is a simple definition of explanation for prana, what prana could be. You use prana just like you use money to buy experience. Now you are using your prana. Some may be listening very intently, some may be thinking when this guy will end his speech. Some may be spending more prana and grabbing more of information, and some may be just hearing. There is a difference between, it is evident in the language also. We say hearing and listening, there is a difference. When you listen, you spend more prana. When you hear, you don't spend that much of prana. You live more when you listen, you live less when you hear. This is the broad explanation of what prana could be. Next, so now we can go to pranayama. As the name says, pranayama means regulating prana. Regulating means managing it in a proper way, regulating prana. Then how can breathing alone become prana? Is breathing the only thing you do? How can breathing alone be called as pranayama? No doubt it is a major path to control the prana expenditure, but prana, the breathing alone, the regulation of breathing alone cannot become pranayama with that definition. Pranayama would then mean you have to control all the activities of the body. You have to control breathing, which is a major activity. You have to regulate it. You have to regulate the intake of food. You have to regulate how much you speak. You have to regulate how much you sleep. You have to regulate each and every activity that you do. Regulation means, you might have, I don't know if you noticed, there was a shloka, Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukha. Only that person will be happy who will moderate everything, who will regulate everything. Krishna himself is saying. Yukta ahara, regulated food. Yukta vihara, regulated activities. All activities should be regulated. Yukta swapnavabodhasya, moderated sleep. Not too much, not too less. When you regulate this way, then pranayama, it probably means lifestyle. It is not just holding your nose. Pranayama probably means your entire lifestyle, what you do from the moment you wake up till you go to bed. Every activity, if regulated properly, is pranayama. You are controlling, you are moderating the prana expenditure. You eat one sweet, you want to eat 5 more pieces of the same sweet. No, moderate. Eat 2 more, fine. You have slept for 8 hours, you still feel drowsy, I want to sleep for 2 more hours. No, sleep for half an hour more, fine. Don't sleep more. Start moderating yourself everywhere. Small things. And finally they accumulate to become something big. So pranayama talks about gross activities, visible activities, which can be easily controlled. And breathing is one of the main activities, no doubt. Don't stop practicing Nadi Shuddhi. I don't mean that. It only means that Nadi Shuddhi is only a part of it. You have to extend the boundaries of pranayama to everything else that you do. It's regulation of prana, not regulation of breathing. That translation is wrong. The next thing, pratyahara. Pratyahara is also actually pranayama at a subtle level. I just gave an example of eating sweet, enjoying the experience and spending more prana. That was an example. When you go to a mall with 10,000 rupees, suppose you have lots of money, you have unlimited money with you and nobody is there to question you. 10,000 is too less nowadays. Let us take 1 lakh. You go to a mall and you see so many things. You go mad, you go crazy. I want everything. You buy whatever is possible. Nobody is there to control you now. Suppose, hypothetical situation. You go on buying everything that you see. Whether you need it or you want it, you don't differentiate. Need is that which you actually need. Want is that which you are desiring. You may not actually need it. So whatever you want, you go on buying, and a truckload of items you have, you bring it and you keep it in your house, inside the room. Next day again you get 1 lakh rupees. You go to the mall again, buy thousands of items, bring it, keep it in the room. You don't know where to arrange it in your house also, it is there. Now you have not even opened the pack, but it is there. It is scattered here and there in an irregular fashion, no order, because you don't know what to use or when to use it. You have just bought it because you wanted it. So now your house, the room has become a mess. Go down. You don't know which item to keep where. Everything is haphazardly kept. Now this was a hypothetical situation. Nobody will allow this to happen with case of money. But you are actually doing this. Everybody does this. Even a poor person does this with the case of prana. We do window shopping. It's called window shopping. We go to the mall. Even if you don't have money, we buy all the items with our eyes. Meaning we grab the pictures, the desire builds, impressions are held in the mind. We buy everything in that sense. We spend our prana. Oh, this is so nice. Oh, this is so beautiful. You won't buy it actually. You won't pay it and buy it. But you are actually buying the experience. You are buying the item and storing it in your head. Buying the item, storing it in your head. Thousands of items. Whatever you see, you are buying. Whatever you see, you are buying. Whatever you hear, you want. Whatever you see, you want. The room of the house will become a mess if you dump 1,000 items. Same way your mind will become a mess if you dump 1,000 items in it. Pratyahara is control of prana, it is nothing but finance of prana. It is how you should regulate the expenditure of prana. Don't go on buying whatever you see. Buying means not with money. Don't go on buying the items and storing it in your head just because it looks beautiful. Ask yourself if I need it or not. Just because it is attractive, beautiful, don't go on buying. You may think it is not harmful. What is it going to do? I am not going to lose money just by looking. You are going to lose much more by looking. This way you go on gathering items after items in your head. Your head becomes a marketplace. You don't know which item to keep where. Everything is floating here and there. Like in your house, how you kept thousands of items in the room, you don't know which one to keep where, so it will be kept haphazardly, it will look ugly. When some relative comes to your house, then only you do hurry up and you try to arrange here and there or cover it up with a cloth. Same way, now we have made our minds a mess. We have bought whatever we see, we buy. Whatever we hear, we buy with our mind and we store it. Dump your mind with all the things, whether you want it or you don't want it. Pratyahara is to control this fact. Each and every small activity. So pratyahara in one sense is pranayama at a subtle level. It is how you control the expenditure of the household activities. For a month you get this much salary, and how you plan so well how I should live in this 1 month, what items we can buy, how you so meticulously plan the expenditure of the money. Pratyahara is planning the expenditure of your prana. Don't go on buying everything just because it is seen. Just because it is in front of your eyes, don't buy it. It will probably require a lot of practice, but it is not impossible. If it is prescribed, that means it is possible. Without doing all this, if you say I am doing meditation, what will happen? Without cleaning the room, without cleaning all the items and arranging them properly, if you call a relative to your house, what will happen? If you don't practice pranayama pratyahara properly and you directly jump to dhyana, what will happen? In the modern world, this is what we are doing. Our aim, our focus is either on asana or meditation. Always extremes. Asana is at very grossly at physical level, and dhyana is the other extreme, which is at purely at mental level. And where is the link? Without linking them, how can you directly go to meditation? Just by stretching and twisting your body 360 degrees, will the mind come under control? You go on, you have not regulated the prana expenditure, you have not practiced pratyahara over a long time. How will dhyana happen? You sit quietly, all the dumped thoughts will start coming up one by one. They are not yet kept in proper place. So the thought will come, where should I sit? I have not been kept in a proper place. Another thought will come, competing. Each item will compete. You don't know which thought to look at, which not to look at. Same as how if you keep a big dump items in your house, you don't know which item to take first, which to take next. You are confused. If you have 10 slippers to wear, you don't know which to wear, which not to wear. Have only that much, as much as you need. Then it is much easier to regulate, it is much easier to bring things under control. If you practice, it will be seen in small things. We come to Maitreyi, shoe racks are available, but our chappals will be just outside the shoe rack. Why? What will happen if you push it inside? These are all small things. If somebody else tells you, you feel as if it's an insult. How can you tell me? Why do you wait for others to tell you? How your mind is, if it is haphazard, your actions will be haphazard. You will sit in a disorderly fashion here. However, you are inside, the same will be reflected outside. There is no difference. If you are neat and clean inside, if your mind room is kept neat and clean, only that much as you need, your actions also will automatically become neat and clean. The yamas and niyamas, shaucha, santosha, aparigraha. Aparigraha means that you should not go on buying, accumulating unnecessarily. The accumulation means both hardware and software, both the items and the thoughts that you accumulate, the items that you go on grabbing. And the yama niyamas are nothing but these moral and ethical values, cleanliness, orderliness and all this. They are all representative of what you are inside. By showing a disorderly activity, you are just displaying your dirty mind to the world. And if others tell you, you feel bad. Why do you wait for others to feel bad? Yoga is self-discipline. There should not be anybody come and tell you, don't sit behind, come and sit front, sit in an orderly fashion. If everybody sits as per they want, how will the room look? So the external activities, discipline, practicing asanas, maintaining physical fitness are all only external symptoms of what you are actually inside. So let us concentrate more on doing actual pranayama. This is pranayama, no doubt. Breathing is pranayama, no doubt. But let us try to practice this actual pranayama, this actual pratyahara. then meditation will happen automatically. You don't have to do meditation. That is the secret in yoga. In yoga, effortlessness makes things happen. Initially, you have to stimulate, the relaxation happens on its own. Dhyana will happen on its own. You cannot say, I did meditation. You cannot, same way, you cannot say, I did sleep. Sleep happens on its own. Meditation will happen on its own. You don't have to struggle to meditate. So try to, 1 week you are going to stay here for new participants and old participants also. 1 more week or 2 more weeks you are going to be here. Try to keep this in your mind. If this gets logged deep in your head, then automatically it will start translating in all your activities, all your classes, all your practices. Thank you. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschet Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Unnecessary things. Don't try to show fake results for the sake of showing progress. You don't have to report to anybody. You are the boss, you are the employee. You have to report only you. So let us try to meditate in this way, and all self-realized people have guaranteed you will get success. Few weeks are enough actually if you do this. Few weeks are enough, few months if not. Thank you. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschet Dukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.